have 4 more weeks left before I leave my corporate job as a clinical research coordinator. And honestly, I'm feeling a bunch of different things. Excited, nervous, it's a myriad of feelings, but I just wanted to come on and just sit with you guys today, have a conversation, and let you know where my head is at. And I have a lot of things that I want to say, so I have things written down on paper here. So if you see me looking down and referring to my notes, I just want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. But I know in one of my last videos, I kind of just came to give the update that I did in fact put in my resignation letter and told my manager that I was leaving my job. And I wanted to kind of get a little bit more into that because I really didn't get to explain too much what happened. But yeah, I just wanted to take some time to go into that now. So it was Monday, June 29th that I had my meeting with my manager. We have a weekly meeting every week. And honestly, it was like one of those days where all the signs were pointing to you just need to like let her know, because I was going back and forth in my head about whether or not I should give myself a month off or 2 weeks off before starting my next chapter. So I was kind of uncertain, and I'm like, maybe I should just wait to tell her until next week so that I can give myself a little bit more time to figure out whether I want 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Anyway, coming in to work that Monday, there were already some things happening to where I was like, yeah, I think I definitely need to let her know today. So when I went into the office to have our meeting started off not too hot. It started off with some tension from her end. And so that interaction at the start of our meeting just kind of solidified it in my mind that, okay, yeah, today's the day that I'm going to tell her, and I will have no regrets about that. So that's what I did. After we had our regular meeting, just about all of my study updates, she was like, is there anything else? And I was like, yeah, I'm just letting you know that I will be resigning from my position. And before I could even fully get the sentence out, she's like, okay, so when's your last day? So that's a red flag for me right there. The thing about it is these jobs, and I hear people say it all the time, but I guess this is my first time really experiencing it to this degree, is that these jobs are just so quick to replace you. Like, I felt disillusioned because I really thought that my manager was like somebody who was a good manager and somebody who like cared about me as an individual. But in retrospect, just looking at my time here and where I am today, it's like, damn, I really think that she only cares enough for you to do the work, because last year I told her like, hey, I'm feeling burnt out, X, Y, and Z. This is when it started. And the circumstances by which it started was crazy as well. I talked more about this in my previous video. If you look on my page, it's like the video where I talk about considering leaving my corporate job and stuff like that. It was the very first video I posted about my transition. Yeah, I really thought that my manager cared about me as an individual, but clearly she did not. And the system, I guess, doesn't afford her to care about that. Because they have to get the job done. But I don't regret like telling her that I'm leaving, and I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let me get back to my notes here so that I can stay organized. So once I told her that I was leaving, she barely let me finish the sentence before she asked, okay, when's your last day? And then I told her August 14th, and she kind of starts looking at the calendar and to see, I guess, how much time she has left in order to find my replacement. And she continues to go on about like all the formalities and what I will have to do next in order to, just move things along. It wasn't until after all of that that she asked, oh, well, may I ask, like, why, what is making you leave? And honestly, like, I felt very nervous to let her know. And part of it is because this is the very first time where I actually had to sit down in front of my manager and break the news. And on top of that, like, I know I verbally gave a 3-year commitment to be in this role, and it's only been 2 years. But that's how bad it's gotten, y'all. Like, the job description in itself has changed. So it's like I'm not even doing the same job anymore. So does the verbal contract even matter at this point? I kind of told her, like, why I was resigning. I told her that it goes back to, like, our conversation back in December and how I have been burnt out, by which she said it was going to be up to me to get out of that. So if you can't offer me any resources, any words of encouragement, or like, hey, like, what can I take off of your plate, or what can I do for you? How can I make sure that you're well? If you can't offer me that and you're telling me it's up to me, I'm pulling from an empty well, because y'all are taking everything that I have. Y'all are wringing me dry. She did also ask me if I can stay for an additional 2 weeks. She was like, can you just give me until the end of August, and then, like, we should be good? Because she was, like, saying how the new person that was coming in, they were going to take over my studies, and they actually started yesterday. She wanted them to get, like, maybe 2 more weeks with me as they're taking over my studies, so that they can know what they're doing. I was like, okay, like, I'll think about it. But in my mind, I felt very uncomfortable that she asked me that, for one, because I felt like I gave her my date and I gave her my reasons for leaving, and then it just felt a little inconsiderate that she doubled back on that and asked me for an additional 2 weeks. But at the same time, I guess I can understand, so I'm not, like, offended by it, but it's just kind of like an example of how, like, the workplace will literally walk all over you and test your boundaries. I told her that I would think about it, because in that moment I was pretty sure that I would stick to my, August 14th deadline. But because previously I had already been thinking about that, I was like, okay, since she asked, like, let me just kind of check back in with myself. Because remember, I was kind of hesitant to tell her on that day that I wanted to resign, because I wasn't sure about, like, whether I should give myself 4 weeks or 2 weeks. So her request for me to stay 2 more weeks was kind of putting me back in that scenario. So I was like, okay, like, I'll take a little bit of time to think about it again, but at least it's out there. At least I told her that I am resigning from my position. And just to note too, before I move on, the person that's taking over my studies that started yesterday is not my replacement for, like, my role right now that I'm in. They're not going to be able to hire that person until I leave this role. The new person that started is for the position that I actually applied to move out of my current position. It would have been like a promotion for me, so I would have been like a level 2, and this new role was created out of a grant that we had got for our research efforts to expand the research for the studies that I already own and am coordinator for. So I mentioned this also in my one of my other videos in the past, where I was saying how I had applied to this role, and I was gonna get it. I know I was gonna get it, because again, I already am the coordinator for those studies, so it would have just been a promotion. But then I backed out at the last minute, saying, I don't think this is a good idea. And I go into detail on that as well in that other video as well. But yeah, I just wanted to give that sidebar, just in case you got confused about, like, my replacement. Like, oh, they found your replacement already? No, not already, but this role was already being created for me to elevate to, but then I decided to withdraw. So then they found a replacement for that new role. So I will still be giving those studies over, and I will be leaving the job completely. Moving on from that, there's probably some other things that she said as well, but honestly, like when I was in there, I kind of blanked out because I was already so nervous to like tell her that I was leaving. Things that were important to remember, they stood out for sure. They were, they spoke for themselves. She didn't ask further questions to understand. She didn't ask what can we do as a division to improve, like as a team to improve. She didn't ask any of that. And I almost couldn't even finish my sentences while I was talking to her because I just could not find the words to say when she asked me why I was leaving. Like, I know why I'm leaving, but at the same time, it was like, I'm really not even sure how to put this in a professional way to where it doesn't seem like I'm grinding y'all up. Like, I'm grinding y'all to F up. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't want to improve, if they don't want to offer any resources, I gotta go. I have to go. As far as like what surprised me with like letting her know that I was leaving is that like I was surprised at how nervous I was because, before I got there to tell her that I was leaving, I was going through all the simulations in my head of like things that I can say, things that I wanted to say. And you know how it is. It's like you have it in your mind, and then when you get there, it goes completely different. And I think it went different because I genuinely do care about like presentation and how I am delivering information. So I don't want to come off rude or anything like that, especially with my manager and somebody that, has given me an opportunity, right? Because I'm still grateful for her giving me the opportunity to work in this space and to, gain the skills that I've gained. And also just knowing like she's an individual outside of her work too. So I just didn't want to come off in a way that was distasteful, regardless of like how they come off to us. Like, I just wanted to make sure that, I communicated in a professional way that wouldn't burn any bridges, even though I don't suspect myself coming back, but you know what I mean. I wasn't able to get everything out, but like I said, I did tell her like the bottom line of like why I'm leaving. And if she didn't inquire more, then she just didn't inquire more. Then that lets me know she didn't want to know more. So I actually kind of feel better about that because I would rather like test the waters rather than jumping fully in, because at least with testing the waters, I can see, okay, does she want to receive this or does she not want to receive this? If she does want to receive it, then I can dive deeper. If she doesn't, then I can just not dive deeper because it's just a waste of time and a waste of my energy to try to explain things to her or give her insight on things that she doesn't want insight on and is not going to implement to make things better. After the meeting was over, I felt instant relief. Like, I felt, like I said, a little tense in the meeting, but after I left out her office, I was like, wow, like I felt so much better because I'm like, I really did that. Like, this is real now. Like, it was up in here, it was up in my head before. It was an idea, it was a thought. I made some tangible steps in real life. It became super real when I told her, because then she had to put my resignation into the system in order to get that process started. Which, by the way, speaking of my resignation letter, before I left out of her office, she just kind of said, I'll need to email her my resignation letter so that she can put it into Workday and do the things that she needs to do. So I'm like, all right, cool. Again, remember, she also asked me to think about whether or not I would stay 2 more weeks or not. So that was also on my mind when I left out. And so I did not send my resignation letter to her on that day. But then the next day, as I am like preparing the resignation letter, because it was already in my drafts like weeks before, but I just needed to like clean it up a little bit and the verbiage and things like that. And as I'm like trying to finalize it and read through it, make sure it sounds okay, I get an email from her. It was an email from her, and she CC'd the research director of our division, and she's like, hey, I talked to this person. She's like, I talked to her and updated her about your resignation in order for us to get started on, finding your replacement and posting your job. into Workday, we're requiring you or requesting you to send your resignation in by the end of today. And I'm like, are you crazy right now? Like, can you calm down? Like, can you calm down? No, like, for real, can you calm down? Because I just told you yesterday that I was leaving, not even a full 24 hours ago. And then you asked me to stay for 2 more weeks and asked me to think on it. Think on it. So the very next day, you're sending me this email with, this person CC'd on the message. And this person is above her. So, you know how that is. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just really irritating because I'm like, can you calm down? Don't tell me what to do because I was already doing it. I hate that. I hate that. Number one. And number two, it's like, did you not want me to think about whether or not I would stay longer or not? Because in the email, she was like, yeah, just put your, as I said, like, you'll just like send me an email that says this and that your last day will be August 14th. So she already had it defined in the message for me. So I'm like, didn't you just ask me to stay 2 more weeks? So you telling me that I need to send my resignation letter by the end of today so that y'all can get started on the process, as if I didn't give y'all 7 weeks notice that I'm leaving? What's the difference between me sending my letter today and Friday by the end of the week for 7 weeks notice? Like, you got me chopped. You are playing right now, right? So it was just like, yeah, I see what type of game this is. So it was just, it's just like the way everything played out with this, and it's still playing out, right? But the way that it played out, it was just like, y'all are all about the numbers. Y'all do not care that I've been here for X amount of years working hard for y'all as a part of this team. Y'all don't care about that at all. So when I saw that, I literally just walked away from my computer and I ended up sending the resignation letter that day, but not at that moment when I got that email, because I didn't want to feel rushed. I was gonna send it when I was ready. I honored the request of sending it by the end of that day because I was going to be out the next day, because I had other things that I wanted to tend to instead. And so that's what I did. So the next day that I was out, it was a Wednesday, and we have our team meetings weekly on Wednesdays with the whole research team. And apparently while I was out, she didn't tell me she was going to do this, but during the meeting, she like made an announcement, and she's like, it's not my news to share, but, and she like tells everyone that I'm leaving. And it's just like, okay, like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? You didn't tell me that you were going to do that. And then when I got back, to this day, she still hasn't told me that she made that announcement. So I thought that was really weird. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, she's going behind my back and like doing that, but she kind of is, right? Like, it's a trust thing. I already felt uncomfortable about the whole situation, and now you're taking it even further to give a disclaimer to people that it's not your news to share, but then you continue to share it anyway without even letting me know that you're sharing it to the group like that. So it is weird. Moving on, I do want to talk about a little bit more about how I'm feeling right now. So that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago where I broke the news that I was resigning from my position. And so just if I had to think about like, what am I feeling right now? Right now, I feel excited. I feel excited for this new chapter. I keep looking up videos and stuff online, because that's the closest that I can get right now to this next chapter of like starting esthetician school and just being immersed in that information. I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited to see what comes next and to close this chapter and see how far I can branch out. I'm also feeling a little nervous. I'm feeling nervous because this is going to be the first time that I am not going to have a job while I have bills, like by choice, because I did get laid off 2 years ago before I got this job, but it was a quick turnaround because I had got this job like 2 months after I was laid off at my other job, and my other job gave me like a severance package. So that was kind of enough to like hold me over, as well as receiving unemployment. Me making this decision, I'm not receiving any unemployment. So literally I'm gonna have nothing as a backup for finances, aside from like if I'm able to find a part-time job in this time, or yeah, something along those lines. But I'm feeling all types of things. I know for sure, like being here, coming to work every day, it feels like a drag. It already felt like that, but I feel even more so now because I already know that my time is coming to an end. So it's like I'm counting down the weeks, but at the same time, counting down the weeks is making me sick almost. Like I feel sick to my stomach being here, because it's like, oh my gosh, I still have to be here. Like, oh, why can't this like go faster? Or why can't I just be in my next chapter already? And I don't want to rush the process, but like when you know that you're like you don't belong somewhere anymore, like you just know. And it's like I can't really stomach being here anymore. So it's really a struggle. It's really a struggle, but I just know it's a part of the process and it'll be over soon. So I'm just taking it a day at a time. Finances are unknown right now. Insurance, all of that, right? Like medical insurance and all those good things that's tied to having a job in America. That kind of scares me. It's uncertain. But I'm trying not to think too much on that. I feel like the most important thing for me to focus on right now is my peace and what I can do to increase my peace. And, I think leaving the job is one of the first steps to doing that. And then everything else will work itself out. I'm, nervous about starting over, like I've gone to college, I've gone to grad school already, so I should be deep in my career right now. But instead I'm making a career change so late in the game. And, I feel a little worried about that, because it's like, man, I thought I would be like well established by now. So now it's like having to start all over again, having to reestablish myself again, not really knowing how it's going to play out. And so I don't really know what my 5-year plan will look like. But all I can do is have faith that it will go well. And but that is definitely something that I think about. I do have a good support system, so I'm hopeful that, that will work itself out and support me over the time that I'm making this transition. Yeah, ultimately, I just have to have faith and trust that it will go according to plan. And if not, then I can pivot again. Like, it's not over until it's over. And I think that's the beautiful thing about life, is like the journey that you get to go on. Nothing is ever certain, but all you have is yourself and the time that you have, and see what you can do with that time. This is all new to me, y'all. So if y'all are out there and you're also like contemplating, should you leave your job or should you make a certain transition, and you don't really have a roadmap for it, like just know that you're not alone, and always like choose yourself. Always choose what is authentic to who you are and who you are becoming. Please do not allow, the same things to hold you back or to make you feel like you can't do something, or don't even allow your own expectations for yourself that maybe you had at one point keep you from changing your expectations if you feel like it no longer serves you, or it's not the path that you want to be on anymore. Like, always feel free to change the narrative, because you are the author of your story and you have the right to do that. And just to segue off of that about like how I feel, I want to talk about like what I'm looking forward to. So I don't really know what the future has in store for me, right? Like, I kind of came across this esthetician path and I felt so drawn to it that I thought it was worth the risk of leaving my job now to pursue that. And so I'm on a ride right now. I'm on a ride. It feels very uncomfortable because I'm someone that likes stability in all sense of the word. Because if I don't know what's coming next, it feels a bit vulnerable. It feels unsteady. it feels like, how can I move forward if I really don't know what the next step is, right? But I will say what I'm looking forward to is venturing down a path that actually feels like aligned with me and that actually feels like my own, right? Because I feel like my whole life I've been raised to people please. I've been raised to live based upon other people's expectations and even expectations of religion and things like that. So I think that this is a great opportunity for me and a new journey for me to really discover like who I am. And I'm so glad that I guess the past 2 years have been maybe a little bit more than that, but definitely in the past 2 years has been one of exploring like who I truly am, what my interests are, what I enjoy, not because someone's telling me to enjoy it, but because it just genuinely pulls me to it, you know? So I think taking this path, this untraditional path, is huge for me in my life. It's a pivotal moment for sure because it's life altering, it's path altering. And so I'm just really looking forward to seeing like where that will lead and what type of person I will be on the other side of this. I'm also very excited to like be able to tap more into my creative side, right? So being in this job has been so rigid and so strict and so like, yeah, just all of that. I just feel like I haven't had the opportunity to tap into my creative side. And so I'm excited to go down a path and experience work that makes room for that a little bit more. Because when you create, you're able to express. And so I know that I'm the type of person that I need to be able to express in order to feel like my best self. If not, I feel trapped, I feel closed in, I feel not like myself. Obviously, school itself is like restricting in certain ways, but it's just really a gateway that will open opportunities for me to be more expressive and be more creative in the things that I do. Even if I don't end up being an esthetician full time or whatever the case might be, the time that I will receive back by not being in such a rigid 9 to 5, I know that I will be able to tap more into my creative side because I'm already trying to do that now as I try to put out more YouTube videos and like taking time aside from being at work to do that, right? I'm probably way over my 30 minutes of like break, but like I'm leaving in like 4 weeks. What are they gonna do? Fire me because I took like a longer time on my break? Like I doubt it, but if anything, that would just get me to freedom quicker. Sorry, I'm a little cynical with my job, so but I'm excited to create a life that is my own and that's authentic to me rather than like other people's expectations of me. I've been on a journey of like choosing myself ever since I feel like the choices kind of started back in grad school for me. I've been on that journey of like choosing myself versus other people, and I'm excited to continue to choose myself, and this path is choosing myself. I think before I go, I would like to just talk about some things that I've learned so far. And so one of the things that I've learned is that there is more to life than your current circumstances. I have felt burnt out for so long in this role, which is a lot of days to feel burnt out and a lot of days to just live your life that way, right? But I felt so stuck that I thought that there was no way that I could change my circumstances. But that was a lie. Once I found something of interest it really made me come alive, because the hope that I no longer had got revived, because I'm like, oh my goodness, there is more to life than just what I'm doing. And so I would just encourage you guys, like, if you feel stuck in what you're doing, even if you don't know what's next, please do not give up on like just exploring what's out there. Like, and this is probably another video, but like in the last, like, I don't know, year, let's say in the last year, but especially in the last 6 months, have been trying new things, and like maybe, comes across my feed or something like that, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I use that initial interest to say, let me not sit and think on it too long, let me just try it. And so in doing that, I've come to learn that there's more things that life has to offer than your current circumstances. And as you continue to lean more into those things, eventually, like, you'll run into something that may be of interest to the point where it's like, oh, I need to pursue this a little bit more. I'm not sure that I think I did tell my story about how I came across aesthetics. And maybe I will make another video about that, just to, go into those details again. But I never would have thought I would have ran into aesthetics, but I did. And all the things of interest that I had been doing leading up to this weren't necessarily related to aesthetics, but it was just related to like things that, spark my creativity, or like gets me out of my comfort zone, or like maybe it could fit me and my personality, but I was never able to really try that out because of the limitations that other people had put on me growing up, or things like that. And so once I gave myself permission to take all of that off, my view got a lot wider as far as like what my options were. I think the job situation was like the last thing for me that I had to like kind of kick out in order to really open up my world a lot more. And so I don't know if that makes sense. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know if I'm like explaining it well enough. But yeah, like there's more to life, and you don't have to be stuck in the position that you're in the life that you're in. None of that. Like, you can change your circumstances. To what degree, I don't know yet, because again, this is all new to me. I'm learning this as I'm like telling you, but I'm seeing now that much more is possible than I would have ever thought or imagined before, when life was so limited for me. So I'm glad that I've been able to open myself up in a way where opportunities are coming my way, and I'm getting more curious about life, which is great too. If you are curious to, tap into that again, and to find that again within you, that spark of joy, definitely start by just doing random things of interest. Even if you think that it won't be of interest, just try it anyway, because what's the harm in trying something new, right? You'll at least know after that whether it's for you or it's not for you. But I also would say, like, try to give things like a fair chance. So maybe don't just try it one time and say, oh, this is not for me. Maybe try to give yourself a couple of months doing that thing, so that you can really truly evaluate if it's for you or not, and also take away lessons from it of what you kind of realized about yourself in that process. I think all of that really helps you to kind of open up your world and see like what your possibilities could be. Another thing that I've learned is that people will support you more than you suspect, right? So, when I mentioned to my friends and my family and my support system that, I was thinking about leaving my job to pursue aesthetics, like everyone was like so supportive, and they were like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I can see you doing that. And like even some coworkers as well, like they were like very positive about it, and it was just like, wow, I never really thought that, you know, other people would see that for me, or, you know, encourage me to do that. This whole time I'm thinking like, you know, I started in the sciences, you know, and so I have to continue, you know, in the sciences. But that's not true. You can start one thing, you can start out in a certain career, and then you can pivot if that's what you want to do. If you feel like the career that you chose is no longer serving you, you can definitely do something else. Like, you don't have to feel stuck in what you're doing. Life is not one way. I know that, especially for millennials, like we grew up thinking, okay, you go to school, you figure out what major you want to major in, then you go and get a job, and like you work that job, you climb the corporate ladder, and then you retire, and then that's when you get to enjoy life after you retire with your pension that no longer exists. Now your 401k and, you know, whatever like that. But I'm starting to realize, like, my career doesn't need to look like those who came before me, and my career doesn't need to look like my parents' career. I don't need to stay in the same job or even the same role or even the same field throughout my entire working, you know, experience. I can change careers one time or 2 times or 3 times if that's what I want to do. I can work a bunch of part-time jobs throughout life if that works for me. You know what I mean? Like, who put this idea in our head that you have to have a career? Like, what, like your career can look like anything you want it to look like. It doesn't have to look like this. And so I think we're tasked to believe, I think we're led to believe that our career or what we choose to do for work has to be our identity, and it's not our identity. We are separate from that. I think the more that we can understand that our identity is separate from the work that we do, it really opens us up to be our authentic selves and show up in a way that's needed at the time that it's needed, and, you know, live our lives that way. I think the world can benefit from us so much more if we were able to just kind of flow in that way without it also being tied to like our livelihood, right? Because that's a whole nother thing. The capitalist society is a whole lot. I won't get into that, y'all. But just know that life is your oyster, as they say, and it really doesn't have to look a certain way. Whatever makes you happy in life, do that, and everything else will take care of itself. You definitely want to be smart about what you do and like stuff like that. You don't want to be careless, but just try to be kind to yourself and have some grace for yourself, because life is already hard enough, and so it shouldn't be made even more difficult by trying to, like, you know, box yourself into like what you think others want you to be, or what you thought you should be, or whatever the case might be. The fact that you're here is enough. And so wherever life takes you, embrace that, and don't be resistant to change, because life comes with a lot of changes. And so that would be my encouragement to anybody out there that may be struggling with that. Another thing that I learned as well is that 2 things can be true at once. I can really, you know, enjoy the people that I work with, but also know that this job is not for me. You know what I mean? I can not know what comes next and be really nervous about that, but also know like it's the right thing to do for me to leave this job, and that things will work itself out. So, you know, just because you have different feelings about like a thing, it doesn't mean that that thing is the wrong choice. Multiple things, more than 2 things, can be true at once. But it's just about leaning into yourself and really doing what you feel in here. How you feel matters, and you want to make sure you are balanced inside. And so if that means that you have to step out and do something, even if you're scared, because you know that there's something better waiting for you, or you know that even if you don't know what that something better is out there, you know that the place that you are now is no longer serving you. Don't be afraid to do that, right? Don't allow the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. That's from a movie. Shout out to Hilary Duff. I love Hilary Duff. She's my girl for real. But the movie, oh, it was the Cinderella story. A Cinderella story. Duh, what? A Cinderella story. She's like, there's like a part in there where it's like, don't allow the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And so that's what I would encourage y'all. Don't allow the fear of striking out keep y'all from playing the game. You never know what's gonna happen until it happens. And then lastly, I would say like another lesson that I've learned is that there's never like a perfect time to make your move. Like there's just never gonna be a time that's 100% perfect, and that's okay. If there is something it's piquing your interest to where you keep thinking about it, that's enough. As long as you have like a plan that you're ready to execute, just go for it. And the whole plan doesn't have to be figured out. Like I don't have my whole plan figured out, but I have enough of the plan in order to take my next step. So I would say, do not think you have to have everything planned to the T. Just have enough so that you can take your next step. That is what I have learned. I've been talking for a really long time. But of course I'll edit it down. So that is all for today. Thank you guys. I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit with you guys and just share some updates. Thank you guys so much for making it this far with me, and please feel free to subscribe if you want to watch more of my journey. I would love to hear from you. Definitely feel free to leave a comment, and I will look forward to talking to you guys soon. See ya.